Alright guys, Rich here from the RC Network, and this is going to be build update number 1 on my Team Durango DETC410. Now, I'm about 2 hours into the build now, and the build has taken me pretty far along, actually, if you take a look at what's really been built. In the build updates, I'm going to be going over, some of the items that maybe have roadblocked me, or, some troubles that I may have had during the build, and I'm also going to show and talk about some of the parts, fitment, and any other things that may have come up during the build. So the first 2 hours was very successful. It takes you kind of step by step through the first part, which is actually doing all of your carbon prep. Now, if you've done any type of carbon parts in the past, you know it's definitely important to go ahead and prep your carbon, and what that means is basically protecting all of the edges. Now, what Team Durango recommends is go ahead and CA gluing all of your edges, and you can kind of see here, hopefully, kind of that glossy edge right on the edge of the carbon. So what I like to do personally is I like to go ahead and take it a little bit step further. I like to just kind of sand the edges of it very, very lightly. Then what I do is I take a black Sharpie just to basically seal the edges, and then go ahead and use some CA glue. I happen to like Zap-A-Gap. It kind of what I had on hand and what I like using. So anyways, that's the carbon prep, and that's the first step that you want to do right out of the gate. So, later on, once you're done building shocks, turnbuckles, and everything else, you're ready to actually start using the chassis and start building up some of the bulkheads. So the first few steps here, it takes you through building the shocks and the turnbuckles, and some things that you definitely need on hand that makes the build a little bit easier is definitely a good set of calipers. You definitely need that for especially building the turnbuckles and also the shocks. It actually gives you very specific measurements for building those things. The turnbuckles, definitely use a 4mm turnbuckle wrench, which is what I use, as TLR version right here. And then also another tool that I definitely recommend are some shock shaft pliers. I have these TLR ones here as well. So very useful items during the build of your DETC410. Now on down the road here, a couple of things I wanted to note was you do not get any shock oils in the kit, which is expected for a serious racing kit. So I went ahead and built the shocks up to spec, and I believe it is 550 weight fluid. So that's what they recommended. I'm building this thing exactly to the spec of the owner's manual. So, but all in all, everything was very well laid out. I mean, here's just an example of how they tell to build the shocks. It also gives you specific measurements here as far as front and rear. Also, all the turnbuckles are very well laid out. Turnbuckles can be very, very difficult to build sometimes because of the orientation and which side the hash mark is on, but Team Durango has done a very, very good job of laying out this owner's manual. So very impressed with that so far. But let's take a look at the chassis really quick. I have gotten all the bulkheads on. I've built also the front and rear differentials. I'm sorry, actually just the rear differential. The front is just a locked front, and the rear is going to be a plastic geared differential, which also does not include any diff fluid. So you will need diff fluid depending on what you're going to be setting up. So the diff went together very well. It's actually plastic spider geared diffs inside there. You can see here you have the metal outdrives. Looks like they're lightened somewhat, so they have the cutouts. And then on to the center pulley right here. Very, very nice craftsmanship that Team Durango has done. Really impressed with the build so far. Everything has worked very, very well. The carbon seems to be very high quality. All of the anodized aluminum seems to be very, very good quality. All of the tapping is very, very nice. One thing I did notice was on the countersunk screws, for some reason, and you can see here on the underside here, my MIP drivers actually did not fit in them too well. So kind of curious as to why that's happening. The cap head screws, no issue whatsoever, but all in all, everything has went very well so far, 2 hours into the build. So next step is going to be going on to building the front and rear CVDs, also building, getting into the hinge pin holders and on down the road. So that's it. Hopefully you guys enjoyed this build series. There's going to be lots and lots of new updates. And the next video is going to be actually my electronic selection. If you haven't already checked out some of those videos, I'm going to kind of compile it all into one short video to show you what I'm going to be running in this DETC410. Well, that's it, guys. Hopefully you guys enjoyed this. If you have any questions, please post them on down below. And as always, thumbs up and subscribe. That's it for now, guys. Over and out.